गुड आफ्टरनून मैम।
Good afternoon, sir.
आज की मीटिंग के लिए मैं आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैं बलोत्रा सीपी चैप्टर से बिलोंग करता हूँ। माई सेल्फ पवन गर्ग फ्रॉम बलोत्रा सीपी चैप्टर ऑफ सीआई आरसीएफ आईसीआई कन्वेनर। जय श्री कृष्णा, जय श्री राधे।
Jai Shri
I
Krishna, sir.
express my deep sense and gratitude to heartfelt thanks and welcome to our ICI President CA Ranjit Kumar Agarwal ji, Vice President CA Charun Jot Singh Nanda ji, CMP Chairman CA रोहित रुवातिया जी, वाइस चेयरमैन सीए उमेश जी शर्मा, वैसे भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स आए नहीं है मैम।
ठीक है सर, we can
Sir, it is live.
वेट करते हैं।
Pawan sir,
sir,
ये
participants
live है.
will not show here in the Zoom meeting. They will be on ICI TV.
ओके ओके।
Here we will remain as only the tech team.
I heartily welcome to our beloved speaker CA Anusri Gupta Garg. On behalf of entire Balotra CP chapter, we are thankful to ICI for giving this opportunity for organizing the virtual meeting on ESG roadmap to a sustainable era and capacity building initiatives of CMP. Recently, we have started an additional reading room facility at Balotra station for CA students with the help of the ICI. Now CA students are enjoying this facility. This facility we have started from 1st September 2024 recently. बालोतरा हमारा वैसे बहुत ही छोटा सा सिटी है, जोधपुर से 100 किलोमीटर से अवे है, और बालोतरा एक टेक्सटाइल सिटी के नाम से भी जाना जाता है। यहाँ टेक्सटाइल कपड़े का प्रोडक्शन होता है, डाइंग, प्रिंटिंग और कॉटन प्रिंटिंग, सिंथेटिक बेडशीट, नाइटी, ड्रेस मटेरियल, इन सब का यहाँ पे प्रोडक्शन होता है। अभी रिसेंटली हमारे नजदीकी पचपदरा में HPCL द्वारा रिफाइनरी भी एस्टेब्लिश की जा रही है। Now I want to introduce our speaker CA Sri Anusri Gupta. She is FCA LLB BCom. She is certified in ESG from ICI. She is certificate holder of DISA from ICI and FAFD from ICI. Anusri is a practicing chartered accountant. She is a partner in the firm Mr. Suraj Garg and Associates, Delhi. She has been practicing since 9 years in this field of GST, service tax, statutory and tax audit, direct taxation, and making representations before the tax authorities. She is also a certified ESG professional and aids in implementation of ESG in business. She has good command over the BRCR reporting framework for ESG in India. She is also an identified faculty for GST by indirect committee of the ICI. Experienced chartered accountant with a demonstrated history of working in the computer software industry for development of taxation softwares like CompuGST, CompuTax, CompuBell, CompuTDS, skilled in public speaking, writing technical articles, also handling GST consultancy and compliance matters, audits, income tax appeals. She has actively participated as a speaker and convener in various seminars conducted by ICI, TCA, RTCA, Regional Training Institution of Indian Audit and Accounts Department, and various other associations. She has also contributed articles for various professional journals, online forums like Taxman, etc. We are very thankful to join with you. Please deliver your deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I'm just sharing the screen. Pavan sir, I hope it is visible.
Yes.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So, Pavan sir has already given the introduction, and the topic for the day is ESG, Roadmap to a Sustainable Era. So, this is a new field emerging for us for the CA fraternity, and we should be ahead of all in preparing up and gearing up for this field as well, along with the big fours and all, so that we can be well adapted to the concepts of ESG as and when the working starts over it. So I just noticed while traveling this banner at an airport, at an Indian airport. So just we let's just have a look. What does it say? It says your airport uses eco-certified cleaning products devoid of harmful toxins. Next, it says about CO2 that your airport is carbon certified. Next, it says your airport is the first Indian airport to publish sustainability report as per GRI standards. And your airport's waterless urinal saves 1 lakh liters of water per day. So, anyone can guess. Obviously, it is not one to one. The eyesight TV is live, but anyone can guess on their own that which airport is it in India. So the airports like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, they're all gearing up for ESG. And this I noticed at Mumbai Terminal 2. So already the public places and the big companies, big corporates, are already following ESG and reporting about it. They are already so much advanced, but these things do not come to public notice as of now. But they will become more and more prominent in future as the reporting liability increases under ESG. So again, this was some LinkedIn post today morning, and what was it saying? This is a phone, and this is a sustainability report of the phone which has been recently manufactured. So compared with its previous version called Phone 1, it is saying that this phone too has been made with sustainable materials. It has lower carbon footprint than the previous phone. So it has a life cycle carbon footprint of 53.45 kg CO2e. CO2e means carbon dioxide emissions. And then it says about low environmental impact packaging and greener chemistry. And then it says that it has been made from so and so much of recycled materials, so much and so much of plastic parts have been done away with. So look at the kind of reports the phones are coming up with. So in future, every product that we go and buy in the market, they will have some eco labels, green labels, some kind of sustainability report, some kind of sustainability tags attached to them. And we will all have a say in the decision making while buying a product by looking at all these labels. Then let's see what does the iPhone says about this. So what does Apple say? That in iPhone 13, they have done away with the layer of plastic over the main box, the main packaging box, and that initiative itself has lessened 600 metric tons of plastic wrap. And it plans to eliminate all of the plastic wraps by 2025. So Apple is one such company which is way ahead of all others in the world in following ESG practices. Recently, there was a video going viral on LinkedIn about Apple, which where Mother Earth visits the company and asks all the employees of Apple one by one what each of the department heads what they are doing for ESG. So this kind of ESG practices Apple is following, that the video and everything, they are all being marketed. So with these glances at the airport and about the phone and all, let's come to the main topic, ESG. What does it stand for? What is the whole idea about ESG? So it is a framework that helps stakeholders understand how an organization is managing risks and opportunities, or कौन सी risk and opportunities related to environment, social, and governance. So ESG, as the name itself says, it's all about environment, social, and governance. Environment aspect में हम क्या देखेंगे? Organization के greenhouse gas emissions कितने हैं? Waste management कैसा है? How is the pollution and water harvesting? How is the organization impacting the environment through all these activities? Social aspect is concerned about the relationship of the organization with their stakeholders, investors, society के साथ, with their own employees, customers, and the community at large. गवर्नेंस में हम क्या देखेंगे? ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का मैनेजमेंट और लीडरशिप, उनके लिए क्या क्या इंसेंटिव्स हैं, क्या बोर्ड की पॉलिसीज हैं, क्या बोर्ड का कॉम्पोजिशन है, हाउ द कंपनी इज बीइंग गवर्न्ड, and how does such governance align with the environmental and social aspects and contributes to the environment. So the elements that fall under these aspects, environmental, social, and governance, are environment में हम देखें तो हम स्कूल टाइम से we used to have a subject called EVS, environmental studies. Then we've all been reading about environment and society in all our textbooks, and then college, and then CA, and then now we have ESG. So environment sunte hi we think of climate change, GHG emissions, energy efficiency, biodiversity, waste management, recycling, and all these things. Social elements में क्या आएगा? Human rights, health and safety, chemical safety, जो chemical hazards हो जाते हैं company में, those all are to be taken care of. Equality and diversity, supply chain standards. So recently, LinkedIn pe another post is going viral that some girl working in a big four company in Pune, she lost her life due to work pressure. So it is not only about our profit motive, about our corporates, that it's not only about the work and the profile and your job profile, it's also about the work satisfaction, job satisfaction, and working condition at your workplace. So till now, if we talk about the world, everything is going in a rat race. Everyone is focused towards getting more money or getting a good job. But all these elements which will help us survive, which will help us be sustainable in the long run, and which will leave resources for our future generations. These things have to be carefully looked upon now, and all these things, we have used the resources to such an extent that our environment is getting degraded. There's no concern about the society, and the governance structure is also going bad. So to lay importance in all these things, the concept of ESG has come up, and along with that, reporting on the same has come up. We'll see how our CA fraternity will play a role in this in a while. So governance elements में हम क्या देखेंगे? Board composition, anti-corruption, prevention of sexual harassment, regulatory compliance, anti-competitive behavior, then ethical standards. So all these things are to be taken care of also, along with running your company and your profit motive and your practice. And why is ESG important? This we have already discussed, but we can have a look, since it promotes corporate reputation, risk reduction of various losses, Then it provides greater workforce productivity and organization resilience, because the more your employees will be having job satisfaction, the more they will be productive. Culture and intrinsic value. So, identification of new markets, customers, products, services, revenue streams. How will this happen? We'll see in a while, but to give you an idea, carbon markets are coming up in the ESG field. Then, if anybody wants to source their raw materials sustainably, then they have to see that whether their vendors in the upstream and downstream partners, they are also involved in sustainable practices. So this is how the whole supply chain might change, and there will be new sources of revenue. So we had the union budget recently. Sorry, is there any concern about the voice, Pavan sir?
No.
Okay. So, union budget was there recently, 2024-25 budget, a few months back. So, even the budget had a separate section addressing climate change and sustainability. So, what did it say? What initiatives the budget is taking, and what all things it is addressing? It said that there will be rooftop solar plants to enable 1 crore households to obtain free electricity up to 300 units every month. And there's some joint venture between NTPC and BHEL to set up a good commercial plant with a good technology that will contribute to ESG. Then there were talks about the Indian carbon market, making it more productive, and emphasis on sectors such as shipping, aviation, iron, steel, and chemical, from energy efficient targets to emission targets. That is, these all companies and these all industries, aviation industry, chemical industry, they don't have to just focus on energy efficiency, but they also have to focus on emission targets under the scheme Perform, Achieve, and Trade. And all these industries will be made more active in the Indian carbon market in future by way of various incentives and treaties. Then investment grade energy audit has been announced for micro and small industries. Financial support for shifting MSMEs to cleaner forms of energy and implementation of energy efficiency measures. Because what happens is the large corporates, since they have been made responsible for following ESG practices, they can still afford the same. But the MSMEs, for them to adopt the cleaner practices, a cost is involved, and to help them deal with this deal with this challenge of cost for being in environment friendly and for using good cleaner forms of energy, they have to be given financial support by the government. So we'll soon see various kinds of tax credits and incentives and subsidies and deductions and income tax flowing for ESG practices for the MSMEs in the near future. Then there'll be a taxonomy for climate finance for enhancing availability of capital for climate adaptation and green transition. So climate finance is another area where the CA is coming to picture. Anything we talk about finance, and the CAs step in. And to tell you, green bonds, blue bonds, they've already come into the market and they have been issued. We'll be discussing about green bonds in the coming slides. Then higher participation of women in workforce through setting up of working women hostels and creches. So all these points were there, all these targets are there in the Viksit Bharat budget addressing sustainability. Now, what gave rise to this ESG? What were the situations that happened, and that forced the government and the leaders of the country to think that yes, we should have something which lays a burden on the corporates to report for ESG. So, anything we have and the deceptive practices relating to that field follow it. We have technology, but then we have cybercrime along with it. Similarly, we have ESG practices, but then we have greenwashing following it. So, greenwashing is a deceptive practice in the area of ESG. And What is greenwashing? Let us see. It is a deceptive market practice जो कंपनीज और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस यूज करती हैं. वो क्या दिखाते हैं ग्रीन वॉशिंग से कि उनका प्रोडक्ट इज इन्वायरमेंटली कॉन्शियस और उससे वो अपने कंज्यूमर्स को और पब्लिक को ये दिखाना चाहते हैं कि we are environmentally conscious, and to have a good public image they use these practices. However, in the behind the curtains and behind the back, they are not doing good to the environment. So they're just showing it, but they are not doing it actually. This practice is called greenwashing. So when the company provides a misleading impression about its products, या उनकी कोई policy or their operations, saying that yes, our products, policies, and operations are sustainable and environment friendly, but actually they are not, then such misleading practices lead to greenwashing. And what impact does it have on business? So if the companies go for greenwashing, they lose customer trust. It is a damage to their reputation. Loss of revenues there, employee disengagement can be there, then competitive disadvantage and legal consequences. So we have this case of Volkswagen. It is called popularly called the Dieselgate scandal. What happened in September 2015? The Environmental Protection Agency in USA, it announced that Volkswagen had violated the Clean Air Act. और उन्होंने क्या किया था वायलेशन में? उन्होंने एक इलीगल सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल कर दिया था अपने डीजल व्हीकल्स में. वो सॉफ्टवेयर क्या करता था, जब भी कंपनी की कार्स टेस्ट मोड में होती थी लैबोरेटरीज में, तो वो उस टेस्ट मोड को सेंस कर लेती थी. कैसे सेंस करती थी? बाय वे ऑफ देयर मॉनिटरिंग स्पीड, engine operation, and the air pressure and the position of the steering wheel. इसकी बेसिस पे वो टेस्ट डिटेक्ट कर लेती थी कि अभी कार लैबोरेटरी में है और टेस्टिंग कंडीशंस में है. And accordingly, the software used to give a report which showed that the emissions from the vehicle are under control, under the law, under the limit set by the US agencies. However, once the vehicles were on the road, engines टेस्ट मोड से स्विच आउट कर लेते थे और engines emit करते थे nitrogen oxide pollutants which were up to 40 times above what was allowed in the US. So this is how this company was into greenwashing, and it was a very big scandal. It led to many consequences, many penalties and fines for Volkswagen, and these diesel engines were fitted to some Porsche and Audi models as well. So these were the consequences. People's health, because nitrogen oxide pollutants were there in the atmosphere. Workforce could not be paid their bonus because all the money went into fines and penalties. There was a drop in Volkswagen's sale, plunge in their shares, and it was a hassle for the Volkswagen dealers because many vehicles were being called back and then sent again, and dealers were made aware that this kind of vehicle is not to be sold. Then we have another greenwashing case. So all these greenwashing cases we are discussing because they will give us an idea कि companies क्या practices करती हैं और ESG में contribution दिखाती हैं, but actually they do not do it, and that is why a reporting responsibility has been laid on all these companies around the globe as well as in India, and its importance is increasing day by day. So Coles and Walmart, what did they do? They violated the Textile Fiber Products Identification Act and the Federal Trade Commission Act. What was their mistake? They advertised their products made of rayon as bamboo products. Rayon के products को वो bamboo products की तरह advertise कर रहे थे. Now rayon is a product जिसमें chemical process use होता है, toxic chemicals use होते हैं और इससे hazardous pollutants emit होते हैं. और company दिखा रही थी कि हम bamboo products बना रहे हैं. So this was a violation, and this was a violation despite earlier warning from the FTC in 2010. So both of the companies, Coles and Walmart, they had to pay civil penalties and they had to contribute to the fashion industry for sustainability as fines and penalties. Then They were also made to satisfy record keeping, certification, and various compliance obligations by the authorities. Another case is in case of H&M and Decathlon, where they were, advertising their products using the eco design and conscious terms labels. Actually, they were not. Decathlon was using the term environmental labeling system again. But the Authority for Consumer Markets, which is in Netherlands, investigated and they found out that the company is just making claims. In actual, the products are not eco-friendly and they are not contributing to the environment. Actually, the products were of recycled polyester, which was being marketed as sustainable. Again, H&M and Decathlon, they donated to the fashion industry for sustainability as fines and penalties, and they were made to ensure that consumers are better informed in the future for their sustainability claims on clothes. So we already have authorities which are watching, who are the watchdogs, and they are investigating, and then the companies have to pay the fines and penalties. Global market is already developed, and the concept is very quickly coming to India. Since the last 1 or 2 years, it is gaining speed because BRSR reporting has come and it has been made compulsory. So we'll see about the BRSR reports. Checks for greenwashing. How can this greenwashing be checked upon, can be eliminated now? So the companies have to be transparent and honest, and they have to obtain third-party certifications for whatever environmental and sustainability claims they are making. The data has to be quantified. Any terminology that they are using, conscious terms, eco design, all these, they need to have the actual meaning. If the products actually mean that, then only those terms should be used. Life cycle assessment is the assessment of a product being manufactured by the company from the very sourcing of raw materials and the starting of manufacturing process to its ultimate delivery to the consumer. So at each stage of the life cycle of the product, the assessment, the check for greenwashing has to be done. Then consistency has to be maintained across branding, and stakeholder engagement. Stakeholders should be involved at each and every level in the big corporate so that better decisions can be made and there is transparency. Continuous improvement in whatever actions are being planned for sustainability. Then consumers have to be educated, and overstatements should be avoided. So with this, we come to SDG and NGRBC. So these are two very important terms, the backbone of ESG reporting. So like we have tax audits, we have statutory audits. The basis for reporting, the basis for our audit report preparation, they're all governed by the auditing standards, accounting standards. So similarly, the reporting under ESG framework is governed by the Sustainable Development Goals. SDG stands for Sustainable Development Goals, which have been formulated by the United Nations, and NGRBC is its Indian counterpart, which have been formulated by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in India. So, like we used to have accounting standards, and now we have IFRS. Same is the thing that we have on the global front. We have Sustainable Development Goals, and on the Indian front, we have NGRBC. So, we'll be discussing about these two, and then we'll move to the reporting part. सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स क्या हैं? यूनाइटेड नेशंस ने ये फॉर्मुलेट किए हैं, and there are 17 sustainable development goals focusing on 5 major areas. The 5 major areas are these: people, peace, planet, partnership, and prosperity. What are the 17 goals? Let us have a look. So they're focusing on poverty, number 1, then hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation. So look at the terms. They are all somehow related to either environment or the humanity or the governance part. affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry के बारे में कुछ, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequality, again related to social aspect, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action is a very big thing again. Then we have life not only on land but also below water. And the last two focus on peace, justice, strong institutions, partnerships for the goals. So all these 17 SDGs have to be taken care of uh, um, very important, they are very important and they have to be taken care of at each step of reporting very carefully. These five pillars of sustainable development goals are there. People, they focus on poverty and equality. Peace, so for a peaceful and inclusive and just society. Planet, for protecting the planet's natural resources and climate. Partnership, implementing the agenda through a solid global partnership. So all this, we are not alone by way of a city or a state or at the national level at India, but at the global level. Prosperity, ensuring fulfilling lives in harmony with nature. So there's a mapping between these SDGs, the 17 goals and its pillars. So if we say under the pillar people, we'll have all these goals: poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, and clean water and sanitation. So all these contribute to the social aspect and they are related to people. Similarly, the other pillars are also mapped to the goals. You'll also see all this mapping in the BRSR reporting at each step of reporting. Then based on these SDGs, we have 9 principles of NGRBC. NGRBC National Guidelines on Responsible Business Conduct have been laid down by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They are the goals on the Indian front and they are also aligned with the SDGs. So Principle 1 talks about ethics, transparency and accountability. Principle 2 talks about goods and services that are safe and that the ones that contribute to sustainability. Principle 3 talks about the well-being of all employees. Principle 4 talks about being responsive to all its stakeholders. Principle 5 says हमें human rights को protect करना है और respect करना है. Principle 6 says हमें environment को restore करना है. Principle 7 says when engaged in influencing public and regulatory policies, हमें responsibly करना है. Principle 8 talks about growth and equitable development. And Principle 9 about providing value to consumers. So all these are aligned with the SDGs also, and their importance is lies in enhancing stakeholder trust, promoting CSR, ethical practices, supporting SDGs and environmental concerns, supporting inclusive growth. सबको साथ लेके चलना है. Environment, society, and governance, employees, company, and everyone. Competitive advantage and strengthening corporate governance. So with the discussion on NGRBCs and SDGs, we now come to ESG reporting. So these two principles, NGRBC and SDG goals, these two things were the backbone for ESG reporting, and we'll see how they impact the reporting. So just to give you a glance of the BRSR report and the level of reporting, the intricacy of reporting required in the BRSR report. This is an extract from the BRSR report of a company. And the question says, provide details related to waste management by the entity in the following format. So it asks you about the plastic waste, e-waste, biomedical waste, construction waste, battery waste, radioactive waste, other hazardous waste, and other non-hazardous waste. So look at the level of reporting being asked in BRSR report from the companies. And just imagine the amount of working and the documentation required to be maintained for reporting all these things. The companies are already doing it since a long time, the large corporates, and as it trickles down to the MSMEs and the medium enterprises in future, they'll have to do the same reporting, maybe on a lesser level, maybe for a fewer points. But yes, this is a glimpse of what will trickle down also. So in this, HL is also saying that they have a waste-free world page and they've given the link for it. So the companies, they are also building a page for it, policies for it, SOPs for it. For building SOPs and for policies, all the CAs, like we are there in drafting agreements and all. So we will be there in drafting policies and SOPs also. So this is also another area where the role of CA comes in. Now, this is the journey of sustainability reporting in Indian landscape. So it started in 2009 itself with the NVGs related to corporate social responsibility issued by MCA. And these national voluntary guidelines only converted to NGRBC in 2019. So since 10 years they have been developing, and the final NGRBC that are being followed today have come into picture. In 2012 itself, Business Responsibility Report, the first ever report required in India for ESG, came up, and it was mandatory for filing by top 100 listed companies by market cap by SEBI. और ये report जाती किसके साथ थी? Annual report के साथ. So BRR report used to go with the annual report by the top 100 listed companies by market cap, और ये SEBI govern करती है BRR report. Then in 2014, as we all know, Companies Act 13 had come up, and in that, these CSR provisions were made mandatory for certain class of companies. So CSR is not completely ESG, but yes, we can call it as a subset of ESG. Then in 2015, the scope of BRR was broadened and made mandatory for top 500 listed companies from top 100 in 2012. In 2017, integrated reporting was started, and it was voluntary for top 500 companies. In 2019, NGRBC were released by MCA, and BRR was extended to top 1,000 listed companies. So 2012 से लेके 2019 तक the companies were reporting under Business Responsibility Report BRR, and in 2021 SEBI introduced BRSR. So BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report by SEBI, is a new version of the earlier BRR, Business Responsibility Report, and the companies have started reporting in under BRSR now, and assurance has also been made compulsory for certain class for BRSR report. We'll see how. So this is the journey of sustainability reporting, which started from 2009, and this is the scenario till now, 2023. So BRR in BRSR is the report जो ESG reporting के लिए use होगी, and we CAs have a great role to play in that, because this reporting, whenever there are things, whenever there's a term called assurance and reporting in the market, so the first professional that people look upon for help are chartered accountants. So BRR was based on NVG, as we saw in 2011, and now BRSR, which is more detailed than BRR, is based on NGRBC, which is now mandatory, again I'm repeating, for top 1,000 listed companies by market cap, mandatory from financial year 22-23 onwards. So BRSR formats, and there's a guidance note also on BRSR. BRSR format, दो formats हैं, comprehensive format and light format. Quantitative data and qualitative data both are there in the format. Comprehensive is the whole detailed format. Light is a less detailed version of that. सेबी ने गाइडेंस नोट भी दिए हैं बीआरएसआर के, जिसमें उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव, स्ट्रक्चर और की कंपोनेंट्स हैं, सो दैट कंपनीज कैन अंडरस्टैंड द concept properly and report properly. We have three sections in BRSR report. Section A talks about general disclosures. So it is to obtain basic information and details of the listed entities. Section B talks about the management and process disclosures. इसमें governance, leadership, management की processes, इससे related questions आ जाते हैं. Or section C, third and last section, is the most important section where we have principle wise performance disclosures. तो NGRBC के जो 9 principles हैं, उन पे हर principle पे there is principle wise reporting, and there are 2 parameters under each principle, essential and leadership. तो essential mandatory है और leadership voluntary है. Again, जो 9 NGRBC principles हैं, उन पे principle wise we have to report, and under each principle there are 2 parameters, essential and leadership. Essential mandatory parameters हैं जिन पे report करना ही है, and there are leadership indicators and parameters जिन पे reporting अभी के लिए voluntary है. To have a glance, essential में कौन कौन से आ जाते हैं? Environmental data such as energy emissions, water waste, और इसके अलावा trainings conducted, community initiatives and social impact created. Leadership में क्या आ जाता है? Scope 3 emissions की reporting. Scope 3 emissions we'll discuss about क्या होता है Scope 3 emission, breakdown of energy consumption, health, safety, या फिर value chain partners का assessment. ये सब हमारा leadership indicators में आ जाता है. Benefits of BRSR. So again, if we go for BRSR and we are reporting under it, obviously there will be some benefits in terms of operational gain. So आपकी efficiency improve होगी. There will be better risk management because you're already taking environment and social and governance aspects in view, and you're working hand in hand with them while being productive. Innovation and adaptation, because you have to revise the life cycle of your products and you have to revisit your entire value chain and supply chain to ensure that at each step, whatever you're doing, that's a sustainable step, and that has to be adapted slowly and gradually into the values of the organization. Resource optimization, हमें resources जो available हैं that have to be used in a optimal manner, keeping in view that they have to be available for the future generations also. We cannot exhaust all the resources. Reputational gain, अगर हम ESG follow करते हैं तो it shows that there are some values being followed by the company. Stakeholder engagement will be better. You will have a differentiation in the marketplace. जैसे USP होता है वैसे ही, if you're following ESG practices, then that will be a point of differentiation for you in the market. And brand loyalty and customer satisfaction will be there. Financial gains की हम बात करें तो cost reduction, revenue generation, long-term value creation, and better access to capital, because all the investors, they have an eye on your ESG practices now, and only if you are following ESG properly, then you will be able to get good working capital and loans and investment. Now, BRSR core. BRSR report is a very long and detailed one. So within that also, BRSR core एक ऐसा area है जो subset है comprehensive BRSR का, जो detailed BRSR report है, that is called comprehensive BRSR. और उसी के अंदर कुछ parameters को identify कर लिया गया है कि these are the core ones and you have to report on them, and not only report but you have to take steps in actually contributing to them, not just for the sake of reporting, but actually for contributing to environment and society and governance aspect. You have to take steps at least for these 9 attributes which are there in the BRSR core. They are also said to be the key performance indicators, KPIs in short. And all these have mapping to the cross-reference to the disclosures in BRSR. अगर हम इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट की बात करें और यहाँ का मार्केट देखें तो उस अकॉर्डिंग दीज द केपीआईज जो हैं दे फोकस ऑन अश्योरेंस फॉर जॉब क्रिएशन इन स्मॉल टाउन्स, business openness, and gross wages paid to women. So these are some of the key areas where which have been included in BRSR core and they have been identified as KPI. 9 attributes क्या है BRSR core के? Greenhouse gas footprint, water footprint, water consumption, energy footprint, waste management, employee well-being and safety, gender diversity. So all these 9 attributes have been identified as the main ones जिन पे आपको contribute करना ही है in a sense, not just to show in the report. Inclusive development, आप MSMEs को साथ लेके चलिए. Fairness in engaging with customers and suppliers. All the timelines said that you have to make payment to the suppliers in time and you have to give this information on your products so that the customer can make a fair choice. And openness of business, that is related party transactions have to be minimized and concentration with a particular trading house or dealer is to be minimized so that there is diversity and transparency. This is the compliance timeline for BRSR core. After this, we'll just visit one BRSR report, one practical BRSR report also. So the top 1,000 listed entities in India, as we just saw, by market cap, उन्हें BRSR report बनानी है as per SEBI. And however, all the BRSR points and core aspects वो धीरे धीरे mandatory होंगे gradually, not the whole report is mandatory at once. So reporting of BRSR core KPIs. So they are mandatory from financial year 23-24 onwards for top 1,000 companies. And reasonable assurance for BRSR core KPIs, जो BRSR core KPIs we just talked about, the 9 attributes, उनके लिए assurance, reasonable assurance mandatory हो जाएगी. And 2023-24 was the first financial year, the year which is just gone by. That was the first financial year where reasonable assurance was provided for BRSR core KPIs. So again, with this assurance coming into picture and its scope increasing in the coming years, the CAs come into picture. Reasonable assurance is compulsory for top 150 from 23-24 and for top 250, 500 and 1,000 in the coming years. Value chain disclosures for BRSR core KPIs and comply or explain basis. So what is comply or explain basis? या तो आप in इसकी reporting से comply कर लो, either you report about it or you explain why you have not done such thing and you report in the form of an explanation कि आपने क्यों नहीं किया है और आगे आप कब करोगे along with reason. Limited assurance for value chain disclosures for BRSR core KPIs, again on comply or explain basis. ये top 250 के लिए 2025-26 से and again another top 50 from 26-27. So value chain disclosures for BRSR core KPIs, what are value chain disclosures? जो आपकी value chain है, उसके जितने भी components हैं, even they have to follow ESG practices and whether they are following or not, that has to be first reported and then in future years, limited assurance has to be provided for that. So number of companies, this is just a graph which shows that number of companies who adopted sector-wise BRSR in 2021-22. So financial services company are among the top ones. That there were around 200 companies which did BRSR reporting. Next, we have companies in consumer goods like Hindustan Unilever and all. 180 companies are there which did which publish their BRSR reports. So let us go through some BRSR report. While this opens up, let us get started. Let us have a look at the extracts that I have taken from these reports itself. So, what does this say? Now, this is a question. This is the BRSR report of Hindustan Unilever for the year. This is the BRSR report for Hindustan Unilever, and there's a question on Principle 3 of NGRBC, which is an essential indicator, that is, ये mandatory है. और यहाँ right में हम देख सकते हैं, these are the SDG goals. So this is how Principle 3 is linked with the goal number 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, and 16 of SDG. And what is the question asking under Principle 3? Does the entity have an equal opportunity policy as per the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016? If so, provide a web link to the policies. So, going through all these acts now, the Environment and Society Related Acts and Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, wherever laws come into picture, again, VCAs come into picture. So this is again one area of opportunity. How is actual reporting about it? We have a clear goal to have 5% of our workforce represented by people with disabilities by 2025. They're already saying 2020, we are running in 2024, and they're already saying that by 2025, they will have 5% of their workforce represented by people with some disability. So these companies have already started working about it. And if any one of you can guess, if any one of you have noticed at some public place or some mall or some big store about any disabled person, about how they are being involved and how are they being given employment and opportunity. So one such example I'll tell you, at the lifestyle stores, if you have seen one person at the cash counter, at the billing counter, is a person who is not able to hear. And that person uses the calculator and to write everything, and he has a paper and a pen, and you can easily do the billing process with that. And if in case any assistance is needed, he has two other persons at the billing counter who assist him. So this is how opportunities are being given to the disabled people also, and they are being made part of the workforce. So that they are also able to earn and they also contribute to GDP. Return to work and retention rates of permanent employees and workers that took parental leave. So this is again another question of Principle 3, and look at the data that is there. Permanent employees, among the male and female employees, 100% return to work. Among the male employees, 100% return and retention rate is there for the permanent employees and for the permanent workers as well. In females also, the return to work rate stands at 96.4, whereas it is 86 for permanent. And similarly for permanent workers, it is 94.7 and 100. So overall, if we see, retention rate is 95.7% and 99.5%. And the companies are actually working towards giving parental leave to both male and female so that they can a paid leave actually, so that they can easily manage that time also and return to work nicely. Then there's a question related to waste management. This is the BRSR report of Reliance Industries Limited for 2022-23. And we can see the section C, principle 6, essential indicator again, that is mandatory one. Principle 6 is of NGRBC and section C belongs to BRSR ka section C. So what is this question saying? Briefly describe the waste management practices adopted in your establishment and the strategy to reduce usage of hazardous and toxic chemicals in your products and practices adopted to manage such wastes. So what is Reliance saying? We have made agreements with cement plants and dispose waste for co-processing in their plants as alternative fuels and raw materials. रिलायंस का जो भी वेस्ट होता है उसके लिए उन्होंने क्या अग्रीमेंट किया है? उन्होंने अग्रीमेंट किया सीमेंट प्लांट्स और डिस्पोज वेस्ट फैसिलिटीज के साथ कि उनका वेस्ट वहां पे प्रोसेस हो जाए और उससे फ्यूल्स एंड रॉ मटेरियल्स बन जाए. They are following the principle of reduce, reuse, and recycle, and it has been described in this para how they are doing it. So this is how the companies are required to report. And what do we have to do on this report? Obviously, there will be technicians and other experts also involved in this kind of reporting who will give us the data, and the companies will make it a part of the report. But the verification part of it, the assurance part of it, comes to us to see that all the work is actually being done and there are processes, there are internal operations being done, and according to then the report is proper. Then there's another question from the HUL report which is asking about disclosures related to water. So what is HUL saying in this? They have described various projects in these paras, and at last they are saying through these initiatives, HUL along with its partners, HUF is their foundation actually, has created a cumulative and collective water potential of over 2.6 trillion liters since its inception. And they say that this 2.6 trillion liters of water is sufficient for population of India for 2 years. So imagine these kind of claims are being made by these companies in their BRSR report, and if there is no assurance for these, if there is no reporting, proper reporting mechanism for this, and there's a burden to get it certified from some professional, all these things will turn into greenwashing. Or we saw those case studies of H&M, Decathlon, Kohl, Walmart. Even those companies are making claims at such big levels. If all these big level claims, they have to be followed in a sense, not only for the sake of reporting. So that is why we need verification and assurance for all these things. For the greenhouse gas emissions, scope 1, 2, 3 emissions, what is the reporting required? So scope 1, 2, 3 emissions क्या है? जो greenhouse gases emit होती हैं, carbon dioxide is one of the main greenhouse gas. Along with it, other nitrogen oxide related gases are there, HFCs are there, PFCs are there. So all these gases fall within GHG, and total scope 1, scope 2 emissions, we will just see in the next slide what they mean. उनकी reporting है कितना metric ton इनका emission है that is being reported, and E means emission and the unit is CO2e. All this is in metric tons. And look what they are saying, turnover number used in intensity calculation is audited by BSR and company, and the numerator is being assured by PwC. So much calculation and complexity is involved in this just one figure that numerator and denominator are being audited by two separate agencies, two separate chartered accounting firms. So scope 1, 2, 3 emissions, to understand them, what are these? Scope 1 emissions वो होते हैं जो हम directly emit करें, जो कोई company directly emit कर रही है from sources owned or controlled by them. Company का खुद का जो vehicle है which is into getting raw materials and transporting raw materials from one factory to another factory. Fuel combustion, whatever fuels they are consuming, उससे जो emissions होते हैं, they are direct emissions and they are called as scope 1 emissions. Scope 2 emissions are the indirect emissions जो आप अपने कंपनी को चलाने के लिए whatever administrative things you are using, whatever electricity you are consuming, whatever heat or cooling you are consuming, whatever steam you are consuming, उससे जो emissions हो रहे हैं that fall within the scope 2 emissions. आप अपने products को manufacture करने के लिए जो consumption कर रहे हो उससे जो emissions हो रहे हैं, those are indirect and they are called scope 2 emissions. Scope 3 emissions क्या होते हैं? जो within company नहीं है but outside company है but due to company है. So if you are making a business travel for a business meeting, so the emissions made by the plane, the aircraft. So since you are traveling, you are responsible for that emission also. That is indirect, obviously, and that is called scope 3 emission. Now, scope 1 to 3 emissions we've already discussed. Scope 3 emission के examples में we can see upstream activities जैसे कि हम purchased goods, fuel, energy जो कि scope 1, scope 2 में fall नहीं करते. जो भी production goods से पहले की activities हैं, they are called upstream activities. जो भी production goods के बाद की activities हैं, processing, use, transportation, distribution of sold products, they are called downstream activities. इनसे related emissions जो scope 1, scope 2 में नहीं आते हैं, they all are scope 3 emissions. So it is easier to measure scope 1 and scope 2 emissions and more difficult to measure scope 3 emissions. Scope 1, scope 2 की reporting required है. But look at the level again of reporting required and the data behind it to be maintained for reporting. Again, Hindustan Unilever की report से एक climate action पे what initiative they have taken. So they are doing eco-friendly refrigeration and they are operating over 150,000 hydrocarbon technology-enabled freezers in India. And what are they? They have completed trials for mobile solar powered ice cream cabinets. This is all part of the refrigeration system that they are following, जिसमें वो hydrogen use करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, so that carbon emissions can be less and the refrigeration can be eco-friendly and it can contribute to climate. So they are using hydrocarbon refrigerants in place of hydrofluorocarbon refrigerants. And they're collaborating with manufacturers to locate renewable energy for improved freezer efficiency. So that was all about BRSR reporting, जो reports हमें देनी है annual report के साथ, और उन पे assurance जो कि applicable होगा as per the glide path of BRSR that we discussed. अब हम आते हैं कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग ESG इनिशिएटिव्स और टर्म्स पे. एक्चुअली मार्केट में हो क्या रहा है ESG के सिनेरियो में? What are the companies doing? What are the startups doing? What initiatives are they taking? What is the ESG index of India? How is the carbon market of India? What is its global situation? हमने सबने ये टर्म्स तो बहुत सुने हैं: reduce, reuse, recycle, climate, conservation, preservation, renewable. We've been studying since school. But ESG, incorporating all these, is a new term. It takes into account all of these things and the initiatives that are being taken. So ESG is the formal term for all these things, and it is now a corporate action and a government action, and how it is into the society and into the governance and into the corporates by contributing to environment, we'll see. So हमने सबने सोलर प्लांट सुना है. सोलर प्लांट अपने घर और ऑफिस पे बहुत लोगों के होगा भी. But solar paint, how many of you have heard of solar paint? Carbon-free cement. So this is something to be looked upon by the architects. But to hear carbon-free cement, cement भी carbon-free, एक अलग cement की class है which is called carbon-free cement. That is also interesting to explore. Then we have green finance. We have been into finance, mutual funds, debts, bonds, shares, listed shares, unlisted shares. Now, green finance is another area which we can work in. Blue economy related to the oceans, sustainable construction. So, building and real estate industry is one of the major industries that contributes to carbon emissions, and so there's a whole lot of literature available and whole lot of practices available that can be used for sustainable construction. Green hydrogen is another concept, and sustainability standards. So various sustainability standards have come up. We have the Indian standards also, and we have the global standards also. So like BRSR is here as the reporting framework, we have something called GRI, Global Report Initiative, which is the main framework which is being followed globally. And GRI standards are the most popular standards that all the companies are adopting. So GRI have kind of become the universal standards, which all the corporates having branches in many countries and India are following. So carbon-free cement is now a step closer since many startups are working on carbon-free cement. And why was there a need of carbon-free cement? इसको हम समझे तो concrete जो होता है, that is the second most used material on the planet. Imagine the second most used material on the planet, and it is जब वो second most used है तो वो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिट करता है, तो उससे कितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशन हो रहा होगा. It accounts for between 7 and 10% of all CO2 emissions. Just imagine 10% of CO2 emissions solely is out of concrete. It is widely considered the most destructive material on Earth, and it is a major source of GHG. About 1 kg of carbon dioxide is released for every kg of cement made today. So doesn't this sound too much? Doesn't this we keep on hearing save water. Now doesn't this ring an alarm to use cement judicially? Just imagine 1 kg of cement is releasing 1 kg of carbon dioxide. For every kg, there is another kg of carbon dioxide. So we have entities like Cementos, Molen, Kabi Create. These are some startups and companies who are working for low carbon footprint cements and to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. उनका एम क्या है? कार्बन न्यूट्रलिटी ट्रांजिशन हो जाए विद न्यू लाइन ऑफ सीमेंट्स एंड कॉन्क्रीट्स, जिनसे 25% लेस emission होता है from compared to the emission that is there from the cements being used right now. And ISCO, as I talked earlier, for the whole concept of ESG, for making it come to the mainstream line, क्या होगा? We'll have tax policies, incentives, subsidies, deductions, and all. So similarly, New Jersey has become one of the first US states जिसने carbon concrete use को इसके use के लिए business tax credits provide किए हैं. So whoever uses low carbon concrete, they'll get business tax credits in New Jersey. Then what is Coca-Cola doing for ESG? They have rolled out 100% recycled plastic bottles for small packs in India recently. The pack sizes are 250 ml and 750 ml. इसके लिए इन्होंने क्या किया है? They have mentioned it on their label that recycle me again. And they have put reverse vending machines at various places for consumers to drop them, and the company will recycle those bottles. So just imagine, abhi tak hum jo Coca-Cola bottles, we just throw them off. Now, if they all get recycled, what difference will it make to the environment? So, then we have solar paint. So solar paint is also known as photovoltaic paint, and it is an innovative material to capture the solar energy. Solar panel की तरह ही ये work करता है. So if we do this solar paint, it will capture the solar energy and convert it into renewable energy, convert it into energy that can be used for various purposes. Solar paint various types के आ गए हैं market में. One is the solar paint hydrogen. उसका concept क्या है? It generates energy from water vapor. So it has been developed by Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, and ये करता कैसे है function? It absorbs moisture from the air and uses solar energy to break the water into hydrogen and oxygen. और फिर यही हाइड्रोजन क्लीन एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए यूज होती है. जो वाटर वेपर होता है एटमॉस्फेयर में, उसको solar paint, it breaks it into hydrogen and oxygen, and then that hydrogen is used to produce clean energy. Quantum dot solar cells, again, they are known as photovoltaic paint and developed by University of Toronto. वो भी लाइट को कैप्चर करके इलेक्ट्रिक करंट में कन्वर्ट करते हैं, and that is how they reduce the cost of electricity generation. So this is another solar paint named after some scientists, their work site. They are derived from a calcium titanium oxide material, and they are sprayed onto various surfaces जिससे कि sun की energy harness हो जाए और that can be used for various purposes. अगर हम फ्यूचर देखें सोलर पेंट का तो you might see the public vehicles, the buses, the e-rickshaws and all being painted with solar paint in future, because going along the way, if they capture the energy of sun and convert it into energy. So initially all these things sound very new and they will be costly also, I would say. But once it becomes to the mainstream and solar paint is into the vehicles are being solar painted, just imagine the amount of energy that will be created. And with that, once the energy is created, the cost will come down because the people will be shifting to these sources of energy rather than the purchase of electricity and other forms of energy.
मैडम बाहर चले गए। हाँ,
So Pavan, sir, the PPT and voice are again visible properly and voice is clear.
visible. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. So continuing with the solar paint, that was all about the solar paint that we were discussing. Now, as I was talking about various ESG initiatives and concepts, so double materiality is another concept that is being followed under ESG practices. So it says you not only have to look towards the financial materiality, but also towards the environment and social materiality. So जब भी आप कोई project start करते हैं, you initiate some project or you initiate some development, तो आप उसकी budgeting करते हैं, उसकी cost allocation करते हैं. So at that time, you not only have to look at the financial materiality, but also towards the environmental and social aspects कि उस project का environment पे क्या impact होगा. How will it contribute to climate and what negative effects will it have on the climate? If those can be reduced by following some alternate course of action, or there is some hazardous pollutant or say some hazardous activity involved in that project, how its impact can be reduced. So taking all these decisions from the very first step, from the very scratch when the project is being designed, that falls into the concept of double materiality. That is, you are taking into account the environment and social aspect also while designing the project, and not only your profit motive, the financial motive. So while financial materiality focused only on the investors, environment and social materiality also focuses on consumers, the society, employees, and investors. So this is how the concepts will change under ESG. Dimensions of double materiality. So this we've already discussed. Financial में अगर हम examples देखें, so there'll be regulatory changes, market shifts, and physical impacts of climate change. Environment में अगर हम देखें तो carbon emissions, resource usage, labor practices, community engagement. So we'll have to look into all these aspects while designing a project or taking some new initiative कि उस project से क्या carbon emissions होंगे, उसमें कौन से resources use होंगे, क्या हम कोई renewable source use कर सकते हैं क्या instead of the resource we are planning to use, and what all workforce will be involved in that project, उनका हम कैसे ध्यान रख सकते हैं. Significance क्या है double की there will be enhanced stakeholder transparency, better risk management, sustainable growth, investor insights, regulatory compliance, and informed decision making. Implementation of double materiality. So materiality assessment. हम लोग materiality assessment कैसे करेंगे? We have to gather the data, we have to conduct surveys, we have to analyze the potential financial and non-financial impacts. So again, जहाँ पे analysis की बात आती है, again we see is coming to picture because analysis की भी reports present होती हैं. And there are various kinds of softwares available for analysis. There are various kinds of matrix available for analysis, which should be taken care of. Stakeholder engagement is there. So engaging with a diverse group of stakeholders to understand their concerns and priorities regarding sustainability issues. अब starting से ही stakeholders को अपनी project design का part बनाओ so that they can raise their voice. If suppose there is some project for which some space is required in a forest and trees are being cut, so उस particular area के जो residents हैं, they should be involved, they should be given some rehabilitation, or the project should be worked out in a way that you have to cut minimum number of trees, or whatever trees you're cutting, along with that you are creating another source of renewable energy equivalent to the number of trees cut. So this is how materiality will be focused upon from ESG perspective. Integrated reporting. Combining financial and sustainability reporting is called integrated reporting, and continuous monitoring of all these things is also required to meet the emerging ESG issues. लिमिटेशंस ऑब्वियसली हैं अभी डबल मटेरियलिटी कंसेप्ट की, क्योंकि आज तक हम एक ही चीज पे फोकस करते हुए आए हैं, फाइनेंशियल मटेरियलिटी. सो व्हेन यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन टू सेट ऑफ थिंग्स नाउ, there'll be additional set of responsibilities, additional set of planning, additional set of resources, additional set of cost for focusing on double materiality. But then that has to be done in the long run by changing our practices gradually. You have to do efforts. जब आप resource planning करते हो, तो you have to make efforts and to get your resources from a renewable source rather than the resource which is contributing to carbon emissions and destroying the environment and society and governance practices. Then stakeholder engagement also, different people will have different expectations, and satisfying all of them is a challenge. Impact measurement in सब चीजों की reporting, documentation, measurement, that is again a great task. Complexity and time involved, then data availability and regulatory and market differences. So all these things will come into picture, but then they have to be solved, and solutions will come up for them. And we have to design practices such that all these issues are solved. Professional opportunities in ESG. Abhi tak, in all the slides that we have discussed till now, I have discussed the role of CAs also wherever I could point out. Now, if we discuss it specially, so sustainability consulting is becoming one major field. All the big corporates like Reliance and all, they have a sustainability consultant in their in-house team who is managing all the policies, SOPs, the contribution reporting, and everything. The management of CSR programs, this also falls into ESG. And now there are various NGOs who are working as implementation agencies for CSR programs. The Companies Act also talks about the CSR programs, and it says either the organizations can do CSR on their own or they can get it done through implementation agencies. तो बहुत सारे NGOs आ गए हैं इस फील्ड में, और they have become implementation agencies for the CSR programs. बट जहाँ पे NGOs होते हैं वहाँ पे बहुत funds का involvement and the proper utilization of funds through these NGOs. Whatever the NGOs are doing, are they really doing it, and they are doing it well and in a proper manner? That all has to be monitored, and for that, again, we professionals have to take due cautions.
One query, ma'am.
Sorry,
There is
sir.
one query MM Jairaj Bothra की ओर से.
Okay.
ESG and BRCR and carbon credit same, and how they are linked, highly confused on the aspect. Kindly clarify.
Okay. So, ESG is the name of the concept, Environmental, Social and Governance. ESG की जो रिपोर्टिंग होती है उसका नाम है BRSR, बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट. ESG से रिलेटेड जो भी एस्पेक्ट्स हैं उन सब पे क्वेश्चंस हैं BRSR रिपोर्ट में. जैसे हम बात करें तो कंपनी ऑडिट, कंपनीज इज वन थिंग. कंपनीज अपने प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज दे रही है. कंपनीज की जो ऑडिट होती है दैट इज कॉल्ड कंपनी ऑडिट और टैक्स ऑडिट. वैसे ही ESG एक कॉन्सेप्ट है which has to be followed by all the corporations and entities. और उसकी जो ऑडिट है दैट इज कॉल्ड BRSR ऑडिट. और उसकी जो रिपोर्ट है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज BRSR, बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट, which has various questions based on NGRBC प्रिंसिपल्स. जो हमने 9 प्रिंसिपल्स डिस्कस किए थे जो MCA ने दिए हैं उन पे क्वेश्चंस हैं. और ये BRSR रिपोर्ट हमें एनुअल रिपोर्ट के साथ सेबी को भेजनी होती है. अभी ये टॉप 1000 लिस्टेड कंपनीज बाय मार्केट कैप पे एप्लीकेबल है. And the third thing that has been asking the question is, I think, carbon markets and carbon trading. So carbon trading and carbon markets and carbon emissions reporting, this is all part of the BRSR report. BRSR report में questions हैं आपके जो हमने देखे थे. टोटल स्कोप 1 एमिशन, स्कोप 2 एमिशन, स्कोप 3 एमिशन. तो स्कोप 1 स्कोप 2 एमिशन में GHG एमिशन, ग्रीन हाउस गैस एमिशन में आपने कितना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिट किया है. दैट इज वन क्वेश्चन वेयर वी हैव टू रिपोर्ट. तो उस क्वेश्चन पे रिपोर्ट करने के लिए हमें कार्बन अकाउंटिंग करनी पड़ती है. कार्बन मार्केट क्या होता है दैट इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग दैट विल डिस्कस इन द अपकमिंग स्लाइड्स. कार्बन, since greenhouse gases में carbon is one of the major gases, carbon dioxide is one of the major greenhouse gases. उस पे एक अलग ही, जैसे हमारी CA फील्ड में देयर आर वेरियस एरियाज. कोई ऑडिटिंग में है, कोई टैक्सेशन में है, कोई फोरेंसिक्स में है. वैसे ही ESG में एक अलग ही फील्ड हो गई है कार्बन अकाउंटिंग, मार्केटिंग और कार्बन ट्रेडिंग की, जिसपे अलग ही रूल्स आ गए हैं. अलग जैसे हमारा स्टॉक मार्केट है, NSE है, BSE है, वैसे ही एक इंडियन कार्बन मार्केट एस्टैब्लिश हो चुका है और कार्बन क्रेडिट ट्रेडिंग स्कीम है. तो ये कार्बन वाला पार्ट हम अभी कमिंग स्लाइड्स में डिस्कस करेंगे. बाकी ESG और BRSR रिपोर्ट और BRSR रिपोर्ट के अंदर कार्बन की रिपोर्टिंग, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशन की रिपोर्टिंग, दिस आई होप इज क्लियर. सो वी आर डिस्कसिंग प्रोफेशनल अपॉर्चुनिटीज. इसमें पॉलिसी डेवलपमेंट, जैसे कि मैंने प्रीवियस स्लाइड्स में बात की थी, तो पॉलिसी डेवलपमेंट और SOP, हमें हर चीज के लिए पॉलिसी चाहिए होगी. बी इट वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट पॉलिसी, वाटर मैनेजमेंट पॉलिसी, सेफ्टी ऑफ एम्प्लॉयज एट वर्क प्लेस, इन सब चीजों की पॉलिसी एंड the checking, the verification that everything is being done in accordance with the policy. That is the role of consultant and professional. Thought leadership by publishing reports, white papers, and articles on ESG trends. Whenever a new area comes up, a lot of publications, a lot of webinars, a lot of educational material flows. So, being involved in all this and giving our contribution in these such publications and articles is one another area of opportunity. Aiding investment firms to analyze ESG risks. So, all the investment firms now, they have an eye on ESG practices of the corporates to whom they are lending. So, aiding these investment firms to give an idea of how good ESG practices a corporate is doing, whether the investment should be given to them or not. So, this decision making also falls within the ambit of professional opportunity for a chartered accountant and other finance professionals as well. ESG audits. ESG audits is nothing but the BRSR audit that I'm talking about. ESG training, again, awareness sessions and training sessions for the corporates, specializing in ESG related legal issues. So we talked about the greenwashing case studies, Coles, Walmart, and all those things. So when these cases are there, then the legal issues will obviously come up, like all the Environment Protection Acts and all these things will come into picture, and there'll be cases in litigation. Now, SRMM. So, how many of you have heard of AQMM and you are actually following AQMM and reporting under AQMM? So AQMM is nothing but the audit quality maturity model, which has been given by ICAI. And while getting your peer review done, peer review has been made mandatory in phases for many firms from this year in the coming years, having this number of partners and so on. So आप सबने देखा होगा peer review फॉर्म में this AQMM is there. वो क्या होता है? ऑडिट की क्वालिटी पे एक मेजरमेंट होता है. तो सिमिलरली सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्टिंग का एक मेजरमेंट स्केल है SRMM गिवन बाय आवर ओन वेरी ओन ICI ओनली. एंड इसके दो वर्जन्स आ चुके हैं. So it has been developed by SRSB, Sustainability Reporting Standards Board of ICAI. The board is doing a very good job in terms of various publications and various webinars, and there's a separate SRSB committee. So the institute is doing a lot, and we should join hands with the institute to be the consultants in this upcoming field. So what is SRMM? It is a framework designed to assess and improve organizations' reporting practices. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन किस लेवल की रिपोर्टिंग कर रहा है और उसको इम्प्रूव करने के लिए ये एक फ्रेमवर्क है. उसको इवेल्युएट करने के लिए ये एक फ्रेमवर्क है. उसकी क्वालिटी इनहैंस करने के लिए एक मॉडल है. एंड इट ऑल्सो कैटेगराइजेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस इनटू वेरियस लेवल्स ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग, उनकी रिपोर्टिंग के अकॉर्डिंग. SRMM के की कंपोनेंट्स क्या हैं? गवर्नेंस एंड लीडरशिप, स्ट्रैटेजी एंड मैनेजमेंट. गवर्नेंस लीडरशिप में हम देखें तो पॉलिसीज एस्टैब्लिश करना, रोल ऑफ बोर्ड एंड एग्जीक्यूटिव्स. तो हाउ इफेक्टिव दीज आर, दिस विल फॉल इनटू SRMM. SRMM में स्कोर्स देते हैं हर चीज के. तो द बेटर स्कोर यू हैव, जैसे हम सिबिल स्कोर की बात करते हैं, तो जितना बेटर स्कोर हम देंगे उतना बेटर हमारा SRMM का ओवरऑल स्कोर होगा. सो इन एस्पेक्ट्स पे SRMM का स्कोर देना होता है. स्ट्रैटेजी एंड मैनेजमेंट, स्टेक होल्डर एंगेजमेंट, आप कितना इन्वॉल्व हो स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ, उनका कितना इनपुट मैटर कर रहा है, कितनी उनकी वॉइस दे आर एबल टू रेज देयर वॉइस इन द कंपनी. रिपोर्टिंग प्रैक्टिसेस आपकी कैसी हैं, आपने कौन सा फ्रेमवर्क सेलेक्ट कर रखा है. वी हैव वेरियस फ्रेमवर्क्स. GRI is one of the most popular framework globally that we discussed about. Performance measurement, key performance indicators पे आप कितना properly report कर रहे हो. Benchmarking against your peers. So all these components are there. और क्या levels SRMM हमें provide करता है? So this is according to the version 2.0 provided by ICI. अगर formative stage है तो कंपनी अप टू 25% लेवल रीच कर चुकी है मेच्योरिटी के टर्म्स में. इस लेवल पे क्या होता है, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस आर एट द इनिशियल लेवल ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग एंड दे आर इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ आइडेंटिफाइंग नीड एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ BRSR. They are trying their level best to comply with BRSR and report the best in BRSR. ये formative stage है. Emerging stage में the company realizes the value of BRSR and they set up robust mechanisms for it. The functions and policies are still to be formalized and focused. So they have started the reporting and they've realized the systems. Now they're working towards establishing better internal controls and disclosures under this phase. Established stage में formally organization सब कुछ कर चुके हैं. They are involved in compliance functions and increasing focus on qualitative aspects because it is difficult to report and measure qualitative aspects. And leading by example are beyond 75%. वो already बहुत अच्छी reporting कर रहे हैं. They're working towards being a market leader. जो हम बात करते हैं going beyond expectation, those companies fall into this category. SRMM का एक live case study है that I will show. So have a look. This is principle 6, which talks about businesses should respect and make efforts to protect and restore the environment. इसमें question है details of total energy consumption in gigajoules, total electricity consumption in the following years. तो इसमें हमें scores देने होते हैं. This is the data reported by a company और इस पे SRMM score हम देंगे. So look at how the scores are given. This is SRMM. It says for details of total energy consumption, what scores do you have to give? If the company is reported, you have to give score 1. If the company is not reported NR, then you have to give 0 score. So similarly, the SRMM gives various levels of score. That 2 you have to give for targets achieved and reported, 1 for reported. अगर आपने सिर्फ रिपोर्ट किया है तो स्कोर 1, आपने टारगेट्स अचीव भी कर लिया और रिपोर्ट भी किए हैं तो 2 और 0 नॉट रिपोर्टेड के लिए. So this is how SRMM works, and let us see how the reporting has been done. So this particular company, since we saw data, it has reported, so score 1 has been given for the reporting. So this is a whole big case study. We can share it offline later. But this is just to give you a glimpse of the SRMM model. And the better your score is, better you will be recognized in the industry for following your ESG practices. Again, there are good benefits of having a good SRMM score. And what are the benefits? Stakeholder engagement enhance hota hai hamara. There's increased transparency and better accountability. There's risk management and improved performance. There's greater recognition. ये शो करता है कि आप स्टैंडर्ड से कंप्लाई कर रहे हो, बिकॉज आप कंप्लाई कर रहे हो तभी यू हैव अ गुड स्कोर. इम्प्रूव्ड क्रेडिबिलिटी मिलती है हमें, एंड देयर इज अ बेटर डिसीजन मेकिंग. So that was all about SRMM. That was one concept. Now Indian scenario में क्या हो रहा है? So Modi government, what did they say? Carbon emission के लिए, carbon emission is a negative term. उसके लिए जो carbon credits मिलते हैं वो भी एक नेगेटिव टर्म हो गया. सो व्हाट वी विल डू टू फॉर द पॉजिटिविटी, आप ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट्स करो. यू टेक सम, यू स्टार्ट सम गुड project which is environment friendly, that has positive actions through market based mechanism, और फिर हम आपको green credits देंगे उस basis पे, green projects के basis पे. Those credits can be traded on a domestic market platform. इन ग्रीन क्रेडिट से क्या होगा? रेवेन्यू जनरेट होगा, जिससे और कंपनीज को इंसेंटिव मिलेगा, या they will be encouraged to meet their obligations and get green credits. Green projects will also help the companies focus not only on carbon but also to achieve optimal returns, and they will bring together mechanisms to quantify and support ecosystem. So this green credit program has been formulated by the government of India. उन्होंने इसके अंडर में क्या एक्टिविटीज की हैं? They say if you go for tree plantation, if you go for waste management, if you go for eco-mark label development, so this is the kind of label जो manufacturers को मिल जाता है if their goods and services are green products or their services are green services. Air pollution reduction, to promote measures for reducing air pollution. Water management, to promote water conservation. Sustainable agriculture, जो एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिसेस आप कर रहे हो वो भी सस्टेनेबल हो, अगर इफ the nutritional value of food produced is being increased, or there is land restoration, then they will fall into sustainable agriculture. Mangrove conservation and restoration, sustainable building and infrastructure. So all these activities fall into green credit activities. अगर आप ये activities करते हो तो you will get green credits, and then you can trade these green credits on the platform, just like the stock market. Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education, ICFRE, will be the administrator for this program. They will be the implementation agency and they will operate the Green Credit Registry, which is the trading platform for this. There'll be annual returns to be filed and measurement reporting verification mechanism will be there. जहाँ पे ये सब आ जाता है वहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन और थर्ड पार्टी सर्टिफिकेशन की बात होती है कि ये ग्रीन एक्टिविटीज और ग्रीन प्रोजेक्ट्स एक्चुअल में हो भी रहे हैं या दे आर जस्ट अ नेम सेक. Market stability mechanism for trading of green credit will be there. So when this is जैसे पूरा स्टॉक मार्केट है वैसे this whole green credit market is being government try कर रही है कि ये डेवलप हो जाए इंडिया में. Issuance and equivalence of green credit generated from each identified activity and green credit program portal will be there. So all this is on an initial stage right now. These have been started, but not much development is there. It is not into the mainstream, but yes, these things have started, and you will find various green projects registered under this program. Green money क्या होता है? So this is a medium of exchange जो ecological endeavors के लिए use होता है. ये literal form of currency नहीं है जैसे हमारे bitcoins हैं, that is not a literal form of currency. वैसे ये भी literal form of currency नहीं है. It is generated from sale of environmental products such as solar panels, electrical vehicles, and carbon tax credits. और ये environmental initiatives के investment में use होता है. Green money के examples क्या हैं? Green bonds हैं. So green bonds are there in India and they are being issued, and we'll also see a graph of green bonds which will give you an idea. ये क्या है? Asset से linked है. जैसे हम derivatives पढ़ते थे. So these are asset linked bonds. They are destined for the funding or refunding of green projects. They are issued by governments, municipalities, and FIs, and they are fixed income bonds, financial instrument to raise capital for climate and environmental projects. So green bonds का क्या restriction है कि ये green activities के लिए ही use होंगे, green projects को fund करने के लिए ही use होंगे. So they are not like the other normal bonds which can be used for any purpose. They have a restriction on their end use. Use of proceeds I've already discussed. Reporting and transparency will come when the market stabilizes. Investor demand. So investors are showing a great interest in environmentally sustainable and socially responsible investments and certification and framework. So as the green bond market develops, there will be certification and there will be a whole lot of framework for it. How do green bonds work? So green bonds are the same as conventional bonds, but as I said, they have an end use restriction of being utilized towards green projects only. And type of green bonds which I showed are there are renewable energy projects, energy efficiency projects, natural resources and land management projects, pollution prevention projects, green building projects, wastewater and management projects, clean transportation projects. And look at the green bond milestones. So in 2007, the first ever green bond was issued by the European Investment Bank. It was for 807.2 million US dollar. And in 2019, 2020, green bond market has hit $1 trillion in December. So already, if we look at the global front, green bond market is already developed. It has started in India, but it is at an initial stage. In India, the situation is this. So in 2021, they were very much promoted by the government. And so in this year, you can see a sharp rise in the issuance of green bonds. We also have social bonds, sustainability bonds, and sustainability linked bonds. But the green bonds are more popular. And from 2015 to 2023, this is the scenario. It was there in 2017, as we can see the data from two sources, Bloomberg and this is Fitch. So in 2017 and 2021, in both the graphs, they were on peak. So blue bond is a subset of green bonds, and it is a type of financial instrument which is used to fund marine and ocean-based projects. They are part of the sustainable or environmental bonds. And what do they support? They support biodiversity, climate regulation, and coastal economies. Subset of green bonds focused on land-based environmental projects and social bonds. So जहाँ ब्लू बॉन्ड्स की बात होती है वहाँ ओशन आर फिशरीज मरीन पोल्यूशन हैबिटेट डिस्ट्रक्शन all these things come into picture. Examples of blue bonds we can see. So along with the concept, I am also discussing the practical aspect of it. If it is not happening in India right now, it is happening in the world. And slowly the same concept will come to India. So Republic of Seychelles, it is an island. Seychelles blue bond came up in 2018 for USD 15 million. And इसका purpose था to support sustainable marine and fishery projects. World Bank also came up with blue bonds for sustainable marine projects in various countries. They have mobilized capital for projects aimed at preserving marine biodiversity and reducing pollution. So I'm discussing some more concepts. So then for the last 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, we can take questions if there are any. Otherwise, we can continue with these concepts. Environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact assessment में क्या होता है? This is a process जो कि किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट के या किसी भी न्यू डेवलपमेंट के environmental effects को उसके potential को in advance एनालाइज कर लेता है. So जब भी कोई प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट होता है to consider from the environmental point of view whether to proceed with that project or not, we take the following steps in environmental impact assessment. So there are various agencies, various technicians and engineers also involved in this process. They have their own companies and they are doing this impact analysis for various projects to guide the companies whether that project should be started or not. So what are the steps involved? First of all, they screen the project कि इस प्रोजेक्ट को environmental impact की जरूरत भी है या नहीं, assessment की जरूरत भी है या नहीं. Then they do the scoping by identifying the issues with various stakeholders. फिर वो उसका impact analysis करते हैं जहाँ पे potential environmental impacts जैसे कि air quality, water quality, all these are analyzed. Mitigation, आपने जब impact को analyze कर लिया, then you work towards the mitigation strategies, measures to avoid and reduce the harmful impact. Reporting, आप जो भी एनालिसिस कर रहे हो, जो भी मिटिगेशन स्ट्रेटजीज ले रहे हो, उसकी रिपोर्टिंग एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. Then you do the review and decision making that what all mitigation steps you want to follow, which you cannot follow because of the cost being involved or any other limitation. And then how do you go about the project? Then whatever strategies you decided, whether they are being complied with or monitoring for this after implementation of the project, that is also part of the EIA process. So importance of EIA, public participation ho jata hai isme. There is transparency because the project is already in front of the people before even being started. So environment protection ki it takes care of. Then there is informed decision making from the scratch of the project. Economic efficiency is there, cost considered hoti hai because towards environmental damage and all. Risk management is there, legal compliance is there, global environmental goals are being adhered to, and obviously it promotes sustainable development. Objectives क्या है इसके कि environmental consequences को forecast करो और उन्हें minimize करो, strategies develop करो harmful environmental effects को रोकने के लिए, to ensure that environmental factors are considered in decision making, awareness for better understanding of environmental issues, or sustainable development facilitate करने के लिए. Now, before going further, if there are questions, we can take them. And then if there is time, we'll discuss these concepts.
Thank you, ma'am. There are some questions from, one question is from Monica Babbar. what is greenwashing?
Okay. So greenwashing, as we discussed in the earlier slide, it is a deceptive market practice. As I said, जैसे हम टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करते हैं तो साथ में साइबर क्राइम की बात होती है. You get a lot of fraud calls these days. You get a lot of fraud messages these days, and as soon as you click on the link, you are taken to some phishing, some hazardous. आप कोई ऐसी वेबसाइट पे या ऐसी कोई इंटरनेट के पेज पे पहुंच जाते हो जहाँ पे यू गेट द वायरस और यू hackers hack your computer and all. So वो एक deceptive practice है. Similarly, ESG के केस में we are talking about green projects, we are talking about green finance, we are talking about eco design, we are talking about eco labels. हम हर तरीके से environment और social और governance aspect को contribute करने की बात कर रहे हैं. So when the companies say and when the companies report कि हमने ये ESG initiative लिया है और वो उसको quantify करते हैं कि हमने जैसे HUL ने अपनी रिपोर्ट में क्वांटिफाई किया था कि वी हैव सेव्ड 2.6 ट्रिलियन लीटर्स ऑफ वाटर. सो इन सब क्वांटिफिकेशन को, इन सब इनिशिएटिव्स को वेरीफाई करने के लिए और इन पे एक चेक लगाने के लिए कि इट इज नॉट ओनली a claim but it is followed in a sense, it is not a false claim. If it is a false claim, that thing is called greenwashing. So greenwashing is where you're showing that your product and services are green, but in actual they are not. So that becomes a case of greenwashing.
One more question is there, Raj, from Raj Bothra. How can one trade green credit?
So green credit, when you start a green project, you get green credits for that. Now the benefits from your green project are measured and there's a whole mechanism for that. There are green credit rules that have been framed by the government. So in accordance with those rules, when you undertake the green activities that we discussed about, like tree plantation and all, the impact of those activities is measured as per the given matrix. And then you get the green credit based on that matrix. So these green credits are then wherever your green project is registered. We talked about the registry that the ICFRE, Indian Council for Forest Research, is maintaining. So and in that registry, your green credits are you can say that they are registered there, your green credits, and then once you register your credits there, you can trade them with other companies who are also registered on this platform. So it will just function like the stock market. First you earn the credits and then you can trade them with another companies who are in want of green credits. There will be some companies who are short of green credits, like so there is a concept called cap and trade program, जिसमें कंपनीज को लिमिट दे दी जाती है कि आप से 100 metric tons of carbon dioxide emit कर सकते हो. If the company crosses that limit, if the company crosses 100 metric tons limit, then the company can trade for green credits or carbon credits from the market to offset their shortfall. जो भी उन्होंने 100 के above emissions कर दिए हैं, for that they will buy credits of another companies available on the platform and they will use it to offset their limit which they have overutilized over 100. So this is the concept of green credits and carbon credits. Green credits is particular to this green credit program formulated by the government of India, and carbon credits is a similar thing that is particular to carbon, which is there in the Indian carbon market as well as the global carbon markets also. So like we have the New York Stock Exchange on the global front and NSE BSE on the Indian front. We have Indian carbon market for the carbon trading in India and various other carbon markets globally. और ग्रीन क्रेडिट प्रोग्राम एक अलग प्रोग्राम है बाय द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जिसके लिए ग्रीन क्रेडिट्स मिलते हैं व्हिच वर्क in consonance with the carbon credits, just like the carbon credits.
Raj Bothra कह रहे हैं, sir, can we get the slides, very amazing slides, and can be very handful and also going be the YouTube later. उनका एक query भी है, what is the EPR?
EPR, okay. So, sir, I'll share the slides with the tech team of ICI and then they can circulate it through mail to the participants. Then next EPR is extended producer responsibility. So this particular guideline has come for the manufacturers who are involved in plastics. So whenever they are doing some manufacturing related to plastic, they have to report under EPR that this amount of plastic they are using, and they will take steps to reduce the plastic usage and use alternate forms of plastic in the long run. So this responsibility is being laid down on the people who are using plastic in their manufacturing operations. So this is basically applicable on the manufacturing industry and manufacturers EPR, extended producer responsibility.
Thank you, ma'am. There is no more questions in question sheet.
Okay, so we'll just close with the one or two graphs and a few interesting concepts. And then if there is any other question at the end, we can take it in the last few minutes. So this was the SDG India Index recently published in the newspapers. So look at the green states, I would say, Uttarakhand, which is said to be the God's own country, and Kerala, which is said to be the most literate state in India, then Tamil Nadu and Goa. They were the top performers in ESG, and they have the best SDG score out of 100. So SDG is also very important. We, along with all the frameworks and policies and reporting mechanisms that we have in India, we can say that SDG is the parent of all, which has been formulated by United Nations. All these will align to all our Indian reporting mechanisms will align and contribute to SDGs at the end. So Niti Aayog's SDG Index 2023-24, they evaluated these states, and the worst performer states of Bihar, Jharkhand, and Nagaland. Top we have discussed. Top performer union territories were Chandigarh, JNK, Puducherry, Andaman Nicobar, and Delhi. India's overall sustainable development goal score increased to 71 in 23-24 compared to 66 in 2021. So we can evidently say that steps are being taken. Corporates have realized their responsibility and they are working towards it, and an impact is being made. It is not that all things are just on the paper. Steps are being taken. People, society, corporates, everyone has realized that we need to take steps towards ESG in the long run for the betterment of our future generations, and that is also reflected in this score. In India, it is slow, but it is gaining speed. Delhi, to see Delhi here is surprising because it has the worst air quality index. But Delhi is a big city, so it. On the other hand, also has major corporates who are taking ESG initiatives. That is why it is among the top performers. Then India's growth supporters, what initiatives are we focusing on? Poverty, decent work, environment, economic growth, and climate action. So we have different goals. 17 SDGs are there, right? So India में हम इन पे ज़्यादा focus कर रहे हैं because these factors are more prominent in India. Then we have targeted intervention by the government, and they have helped achieve 16 goals set under the SDGs. So they're saying 16 SDGs पे हमने काम कर लिया है already. Then carbon credit trading scheme. So for the carbon credit trading, also a scheme was announced in 2023. It was notified by the government of India in 28 June, and it formulated the formation of a national steering committee or Indian carbon market. So like we had the topic for today, roadmap to a sustainable era. Carbon credits, carbon market, and carbon trading is a whole set of new topic and a very detailed topic that can have one single webinar, that can take one single webinar for the whole topic. One carbon credit represents 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide or an equivalent amount of another greenhouse gas. And certification to achieve cost-effective and significant environmental benefits. So once you start doing carbon accounting and carbon reporting, you will earn carbon credits, and then you can go for carbon trading in the carbon market. So we can wrap up the session. If there are any other questions, we can take it. Otherwise, we can always connect offline. These are my details. You can always reach me at these, either through mail or the social platforms. For DCAs, I would just like to say that ESG is an upcoming, it has already come, rather, it is being, BRR report is into the picture since 2012, and BRSR is a new one, which is there since 2021. And not only BRSR reporting, apart from that, we have a lot of policies and frameworks and global standards, and a lot of companies who are involved in exports and imports now. If they are exporting to, say, Europe, then they have Europe has already started, you know, um, a lot of companies have to comply with many requirements to showcase their products and export their products in the European market. So they have something called CSRD, the reporting directives. So they have to be followed. So suppose I recently heard from a company that they have, manufactured a new plant, and for that they are getting that plant registered under the sustainability framework in Europe. Then only they'll be able to market that plant in Europe. So on the global front also we have opportunities.
Here is one more question, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Is there any particular AS for ESG carbon credit, or if not, then how to account for these at present, ma'am? And what particular law like to act I can read for knowing more details about them, like their applicability, relevant reporting requirements? This is from Jairaj Botra.
Okay. So, yes, sir. The I would say for reading material, the background material on ESG, on BRSR by our own ICI, that is very good. It is very detailed, and a lot of research has been done in training that material. A course, a certificate course on BRSR is also there by the institute, and you can do that. And there's an exam after that. Then you get the certification. So for starting and for reading and for getting a certification, I'd say course is the best. Then there are a lot of other courses by the Big Fours also for the GRI standards. So Global Reporting Initiative is one of the universal reporting standard. And a lot of people are doing GRI certification also if they want to follow ESG on global front. And yes, there are standards, Indian standards also. Again, they are in detail and they require another webinar for discussion. So yes, standards are there. And apart from Indian standards, like we have the auditing standards and IFRS. So similarly, we have the Indian ESG standards also, and we have the global standards also. So both have to be taken care of. The companies reporting following GRI have to go with the global standards, and the companies doing full soul BRSR, they have to go for Indian standards. And even within BRSR, the companies who have their branches everywhere, they can follow GRI. So GRI takes into account everything. I will share more material on that offline. You can drop me an email on this.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. This is very nice session on ESG and ERSR. Thanks. Thank you very much from the ICI to the ICI also and CMP.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pawan sir, for moderating. Thank you so much, Anushri ma'am. I guess it was benefited for all the members, and hope we'll be connecting in future as well.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Pawan sir. Thank you, ICI team.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anushri.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the committee for organizing. Thanks.
टेक सपोर्ट टीम ओवर हो चुका है सेशन, आप बंद कर दीजिए।